Hi everyone, my name is Wendy Fields. I will be your instructor for our BIOS 224 lab. Just going to go over some basic stuff, and this is what you can expect for each week. I will have some sort of recording for you to instruct you on kind of the expectations for that particular week. I would recommend checking your announcement section often. So I did put a little hello shout out to y'all, but I would definitely keep track of those. If you don't have notifications on, I would turn them on because sometimes I will have last minute information for you. So just make sure that you are checking in on your announcements. If you notice, there's a lot of material up in this top portion where it's not designated or given to a particular week. As we go through, will assign these to specific weeks. So this class will be 100% virtual. It is, I'm going to have material presented to you that you need to learn and become familiar with. You will have additional assignments to complete. I do not have a finished syllabus at the moment, but I will obviously have some form of a schedule for you soon. Just kind of giving you a heads up. I know a couple of y'all were talking about, I've got emails already from y'all about, oh, I can't meet at 5:30 to 8:30, or, I need a different time. The way I do it is I will release information on the Thursday at 5:30, but you will most likely have a week to complete it. So for example, I have gone ahead and given you the material that you will need to know for your first quiz. I have given, and this will be unlocked for y'all shortly. You will have a handful of assignments. This is just 2 of the assignments you will have for each little section, and then you will have usually a week to complete whatever is put on each day. So as you notice, you will not have a quiz on this first week. Most likely I will save the quiz for the second or third week. But I will give you a handful of assignments to complete prior to that point. Let me go through real quick these that are labeled lab manuals. You'll see those are the PDFs, the lab manuals there. Those are like Botany Bible, so make sure that you are very familiar with those. Make sure you have some sort of PDF reader either on your computer or on your cell phone so that you can access those files. Also the same thing with PowerPoint. If you do not have PowerPoint, make sure that you download a PowerPoint reader because your testing material are going to come from these sources. While the book is a wonderful source, and as you can see I have some like chapter 13, most of the time when I have that I will have questions listed for you so that you don't actually have to have the physical book to see those questions. But like I said, it's an amazing resource. It's a really wonderful textbook. So let me go through kind of what you need to know. So let's look at the prokaryote bacteria lab manual first. So most of these are going to be in PDFs. In Monera here, Kingdom Monera, it's no longer called that. It's actually, there's 2 kingdoms. The archaeas are the archaebacteria and the eubacteria. 2 separate domains even. So they no longer call them Monera, but this is an old lab manual, but the information that is here other than that is really great information. So anything that is written in these lab manuals you need to be very familiar with. Pictures can and often will pop back up on your exams. So it's not past me to take a screenshot of a particular picture. So make sure you know what the pictures are trying to tell you. Make sure you're familiar with that information. These right here where it says the representatives from the particular group, I would definitely get familiar with that because I love to have matching to where I give you a handful of the organisms and you have to match it to which group. Sometimes it's the phylum, sometimes it's, like in this case, it could be the kingdom, archaebacteria versus eubacteria. It could be methanogens. I mean, it could be any type of grouping. So sometimes it's phylum, sometimes it's class, order, or even family. Just depends on the group that we're looking at, especially in the higher plants. So make sure you're familiar with those. Again, any picture you come across, make sure you have a general understanding of what's happening here. I'm not going to read this material to you, and I'm not going to lecture for hours at a time. I'm just going to kind of make sure that you can navigate the information that you're given, and it will be your responsibility to learn this material. All of these pictures are fair game, not only in the lab manual, but I will show you in a minute the PowerPoint that I've created that was kind of motivated or designed from this lab manual. So I put both of those up, and they're both fair game. So again, these structures that are labeled, whatever number, anything that's been identified to you is fair game for me to put on an exam. So just be aware of that. That's another reason why I would suggest, if you are able to print this out and use it as a study guide, because that's pretty much what it is. Okay, so again, no structures and any information about that structure that's vital. Okay, so for example, this particular organism, this it is going to be using hydrogen sulfide to kind of oxidize and make energy. So just know tidbits about that, and it's all here. I'm not going to pull from anything that's not given to you. So it's either going to be in this lab manual or in the PowerPoint. So again, make sure you become very familiar with these particular lab manuals. Okay, so that is the first one. Now, I've already pulled up the PowerPoint so that you can see it. So let me pull it over here. And it's a similar idea. When you go through these PowerPoints, make sure that you are aware that you will have to do a lot of matching. Any type of written material is important. So this is very similar to what you just saw, but sometimes I put different pictures on the PowerPoints versus in the lab manual, just to kind of give you some more exposure. So these are some more examples, representatives of the archaeas, this particular slide. So there's quite a few that are mentioned here that you won't necessarily see on the lab manual. So just be aware that you could end up having to identify one of these species within their particular group of the archaeas. Here are some pictures of those archaeas just to kind of give you an idea, and also kind of their common names. So an acidophile is a common name for a particular archaea. And then it goes in, the rest of this is pretty much cyanobacterium. And so it's talking about our very first photosynthetic organisms. So make sure that you are taking note of the captions. Again, just like before, any type of labeled information, you might have to be able to see this picture and identify this structure or another structure that you might be seeing. So make sure you're very familiar with the structures. Again, I've tried to provide information for you to kind of help remember these representatives. Normally, if we were in a botany lab, you would be taking microscope slides and identifying these under the microscope. But since I do not have lab space and we have made this virtual, all of yours will be done through pictures. Okay. Most of the time, I will either use a picture that you see in the PowerPoint or one that is on the lab manual. Every once in a while, I'll throw in a different version of a picture to try to see if you still identify that organism. So again, structures, and in this case, there are two forms that this particular cyanobacteria comes in, either in a filament form or a gelatinous matrix form. So just make sure that you're kind of paying attention to some of these details, things like the separation disc or the cell walls, and just kind of be aware of some of this. This one I know that you're going to see. There's false branching and true branching within these two groups. The difference is going to be from, and this is a really good picture to look at, is how these branches have kind of connected. So just make sure that you could identify that's a true branch versus a false branch. And again, any information that's unique to a group is probably going to be a question that you see. This particular slide is talking about the shape of most prokaryotes. They come in usually only a handful of forms. The coccus is round, the bacillus is rod, the vibrio is the curved rod, the coccobacillus is the short rod, which is kind of like an oval, the spirillum is spiral, and the spirochetes is a little bit more helical in shape, so it's a little bit more rigid. Okay, so this is a good example of a slide that would represent matching. Okay, and so you would have to be able to match the specific shape to the name of that shape. And here are some more examples of those different shapes. Okay, then of course making sure that you understand we are talking about all prokaryotes here. There are certain structures that are going to be shared. Make sure you can identify those structures and any additional processes that are involved, and so conjugation is one of these. This is the closest thing that bacteria have to sex, so make sure that you could identify what's happening here, or the structure. So this is a pilus, this is a sex pilus, or kind of what's happening within that process itself. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of this, and I'm going to state and kind of stress to you that your exams are not going to be proctored. However, they are going to be timed. And I have taken enough online classes to know that I will provide enough time for someone that has studied. 25 minutes will be plenty of time to take care of 20 to 25 questions, including large ones where you have to do matching. However, if you are not familiar with the material, 25 minutes will not even remotely be close enough time to complete these activities. So just be aware that you need to be very familiar with this information. Otherwise, these exams are going to catch up with you. So if you have any questions about your expectations for the class or Moodle or any of the assignments that I post on Moodle, please feel free to email me at any time. I'm pretty good at answering at all times of the day. I prefer, of course, during business hours, but I know some things happen. So email me at wfields@lsus.edu if you have any questions, and I would be more than willing to help you with those. I'm going to restate here, or at least kind of mention that I am very forgiving if a situation requires it. So if you have been put in the hospital or you have a death in the family, I can work around those things. However, internet not working and you not being able to complete an exam that's been up for a week is not a concern of mine. And so sometimes you're not going to like the answer when you call and ask for help if you have not been taking care of your stuff. If you have internet issues, you need to physically go somewhere that has a better connection. Not being able to access the internet will never be an acceptable excuse to not have your work done. So please make sure that you are taking care of your business. Feel free to contact me with any concerns, but just be aware that you are adults and you will be held to a very high standard. And I hope that you have a wonderful semester with me. I had a great time last time with my group. So please contact me with any concerns. Otherwise, have a fantastic day, and I will see you soon. Bye.